to build this, not tolerance, but like this realization that life isn't going to attack me when I'm in life. You know, I hope something doesn't attack me now that I've said that, but it's sort of like, it's just amazing because there's so many beautiful flowers around, so much beautiful greenery. And it's funny, they did a study, I think it was Harvard, and what they found was that the more we're in open green spaces, the more we're in nature, the more we're in clean, crisp air and around trees and around, you know, nice big green spaces and around animals, the lower our stress and the lower, like the lower levels of depression that are recorded in people. And it's so funny because I can attest that when I was living and I wasn't hiking and I wasn't getting out into nature, I was a lot more stressed, but also a lot more depressed within myself. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you have to trudge through this to not be depressed, but when you're next walking through the park, try walking on the grass, barefoot. You know, I go barefoot personally because, one, shoes, they basically destroy your feet over a long period of time and give you a lot of problems within your feet, but it's also, our feet have so many, like, senses, like so much senses in them, like sensory bodies, and it's sort of like when we're barefoot, you know, we're able to magnetically earth, we're able to sort of feel like we're a part of nature, not so much disjointed from nature. We'll go around this way, and it's like, I don't know, like, I can't tell you exactly what it is in terms of, for me, but it's just ever since I started doing this and started sort of pushing myself deeper and deeper and further into nature, the more I feel liberated and free within myself. And it's so, like, it's such a beautiful time because, you know, like, yeah, it's wild, but like right now, you know, on the inside, I'm slightly terrified, but I'm also ecstatic with joy. And that's one of the funny things that I realized is I don't need money to be happy in life. I just need to get out there and experience life to feel happy in life. And it's like, for so long, I sort of had these beliefs that I had to focus on money. I had to focus on the material aspects of life and society to feel happy. You know, like traveling around the world, staying at fancy resorts and hotels and going out to fancy clubs and bars and stuff. I don't remember where I came in. That's one of the funny things about this place I've noticed, is because it's all pretty much the same type of tree or plant, I get turned around pretty easy in it. But it's also like, that's the joy of sort of being in nature, is that aspect of exploring, you know. I think we'll go this way. It's that aspect of sort of adventure, you know, that I don't get from being inside. Woo! You know what I mean? Like, woo! I'm not a big fan of when I go through the trees. I don't want to break the trees, but it's like it's quite hard to see the path sometimes. So it's like sometimes I just gotta trudge along through. But I think we'll go this way. But it's just like whoop, that's a spider. We don't want to disturb his home. He spent a long time building it. But it's like, man, it's just so beautiful out here. But like, I realized it's the small things in life that create the magic in my life. Like, it's not these, you know, expensive cars and expensive TVs and expensive houses. Like, I think anyone who says that you know, their house makes them feel happy about their life and the car that they drive and the job that they have in terms of, well, the physical or the financial money that they get from their work. Whoa, that was a sharp stick. But it's like, whew, and but it's like, I don't think that they're being honest with themselves or ever experienced like actual life. Like, for thousands of years, this was the experience of life. You know what I mean? Oh, mate. That's what I mean. I get terrified so easily in here. But it's like, 1 second. We just disturbed that little spider web. Sorry, buddy. Woo. Woo. What happened before was a bit of grass went up my pants. And, you know, I got a little bit close for comfort and terrified me. But it's like, I sort of enjoy that feeling, not of being unsafe, because I don't feel unsafe, but that feeling of, not insecurity, but that feeling of, not vulnerability, but like, what would you call it? It's sort of like maybe being exposed? I don't know. It's just that feeling that I am not I'm not in, like, to an extent, I'm not in my element. You know what I mean? Like, because for so long of my life, my element was always being inside, being a part of society. To me, this is something that, you know, don't get me wrong, like when I was young, all I did was spend my time out in nature in the forest. So like, to an extent, this is where I feel at home, but it's like, it's sort of like I've been on a holiday for 20 or 30 years and I'm only just rediscovering my house. You know what I mean? If that analogy sort of makes sense. What on pole? Woo! Holy hell. We are trying to find a way out. Mother liquor. Let's go this way. But it's like, sometimes I get a bit too deep into the tracks, and then I gotta like sort of try and backtrack my way around and find a new path out. Soz, mate. And it's like, no, which way are we gonna go? Let's go this way. Oh, let's go over there. But it's like, yeah, so much of my early childhood, get off me, mate, was spent out in nature. Like, when I was a kid, like a young child, this sort of stuff didn't even faze me in the slightest. But it wasn't until I got a bit older and had some, not negative experiences, but some, you know, experiences that startled or scared me a little bit, that I became, oh mate, a little bit afraid of nature. A little bit afraid of being sort of out in nature. But we're just going to keep trudging along until we can see the way out. I'm thinking it's over there. I think we'll have to trudge that way. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's a beautiful experience. Even though I feel all turned around and lost, but that's okay. What's being lost among friends? You know what I mean? And the way I like to look at it is all these trees are my friends. All these plants, all these animals, even the spiders and the snakes, they're my friends. And I love them. Even if they do terrify me a little. Woo-hoo! Alright, we're back on one of the paths. But it's like, yeah, the more I do it, the less it sort of worries me being out here. And that's sort of one of my personal goals with this channel, is to sort of show you that, like, even nature terrifies me, but it's like, if we can hold off from making those preconceived or preconceptions, if that's the word. Sorry, it's hard to think of words when I'm a little bit terrified, but that's why I like it, because it adds a little bit more difficulty to it. But it's like, yeah, if I can break that preconceived notion that I built when I was a child, that limiting belief that nature was something to be afraid of and not something to be admired, like, I just feel like my life is going to be so much more fuller, and my experience of life is just going to be something that is just so much more beautiful than if I never face it, if I never go through it. You know what I mean? And like, the funny thing is in my whole life, you know, hiking and being in the bush and camping and stuff like that, I've never really had negative experiences. So that's sort of one of the things that trips me up a little bit, is that, oh, sorry, my hair was a bit tight. But that's one of the things that trips me up a little bit, is that I have these fears that aren't really based in reality. You know what I mean? And like, the only way out is forward. The only way to break a fear is to face that fear. You know what I mean? And it's like, you may think I jump around a little bit. That's just random things are touching me and it startles me a little bit. But it's like, I don't know, just wandering through here is just so beautiful. Like, and I say beautiful because, like, I don't think you can see it, but there's like, you know, these flowers everywhere, there's, you know, these beautiful birds everywhere, there's these trees. It's sort of like, I'm trying to recondition into my subconscious that nature is beautiful and not scary. So that's why I constantly use it. But like, I don't know if you can see the flowers down there, but they're absolutely beautiful. And then there's like a helicopter going overhead, and we're gonna go this way, and it's like, yeah, I hope you sort of start to understand what I mean in terms of, like, if, like me, you're able to push yourself through your perceived fears, like me, you should be able to become more comfortable in areas or places that you used to feel, you know, fear. You know what I mean? Because, like, then if we're able to do that, we're able to experience life in its fullest. Being a part of nature, being a part of life, not feeling a need to be disjointed or feeling a need to be segregated from life. Because I notice, you know, like I used to be, so many people are afraid of nature, so much so that they segregate themselves from nature. And it's like, if we segregate ourselves from nature, we sort of limit our experience in life. You know what I mean? Ooh. And yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous out here. I'm trying to find the sort of path. I know the direction to travel to head back, but it's like I'm trying to find little paths to scoot around, but I don't think they're existing at the moment. Because this is sort of like, this is just like the side of the walking trail. Like, this isn't actually a walking trail. That's why it's sort of like, so, I guess you could say overgrown, but it's like, yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. And I love just taking a moment to just, you know, when I see a bird, when I see an insect, I just love to take a moment and appreciate it for what it is. Because it's sort of like Sadhguru says, if we can make every little thing in life sacred, our life will become sacred. Even the aspects of life that we don't like, we must make sacred. It's not, you know, that, you know, I just make everything that I like and enjoy in life sacred, and then everything else isn't sacred. It's sort of like I have to make everything sacred, or I have to make nothing sacred. Because if I go around saying, I like this, I like that, this is sacred to me, this is sacred to me, but nothing else is, I'm sort of boxing in and limiting my life and my experience. And it's sort of like, I don't know if you'll be able to see them, but over there there's a bunch of little songbirds that are hanging out and flying around. And it's a really awesome thing when you're like, when you're out in nature and next, like, just when you see some birds, just take a moment to stop and watch them, because watch how they interact and they communicate with one another and they play. And that's sort of one of the things Alan Watts talks a lot about in life, is sort of like this state of play in life, where that is sort of the purpose of life, is to play. Life isn't meant to be serious and factual and this and that. It's sort of like a game of play. If you sort of understand what I mean. Like, if you think about, like, when you've last watched, you know, even just take dogs for example. Like, yeah, we'll go this way. The whole existence of a dog is simply to play with others. You know what I mean? And it's like, For me, I feel that if I'm able to become comfortable in nature, being a part of nature, I will be